3, 2.
Hello.
Okay. We've got the crazy Brits here again. We've got Mark Attwood and myself, and we're here to brighten up the mood for everyone. How you doing, Mark?
Tippity toppity toe.
Fantastic, whatever that means. I think that was good. I think that means you're doing really, really good. And it's Friday afternoon. Now, on a more serious note, just before we start,
Sorry,
there's
you've got a cat tail on. You can't.
Not a cat tail, it's a monkey tail.
Oh, you've got monkeypox.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
If you want to know where it's come from, it's me. Me.
You are the
family of monkeys, so don't worry. But I'm quite looking forward to putting some red spots on my face and walking around with my tail even more than I do normally now. So
I dare you to walk through the local village like that.
I always walk through the local village like this. It's nothing unusual. Sometimes I wear this, sometimes I wear my lemur tail, and sometimes my fox tail. But I feel the need at the moment is for the monkey. So, you know, gone is the sheep. The sheep one's just taking a rest at the moment, and we're going for the monkey one. Poor bloody monkeys. I didn't know anything about it, Mark, until someone sent me the headlines. And what made me laugh is like they're making all these things about stockpiling the V word. We want this one to go up. We want this one to stay up. So we'll be careful with our words. And then if you read the small print below, it's like, oh, most people only have very mild symptoms and they recover with no problem in a couple of weeks. So what the hell would you want to? Oh, it's pathetic, isn't it?
Well, I just saw this today, which I thought was hilarious. I don't know if you can see that. It says, oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, this name here, Professor Ulick McSpoonlicker. That's in the Irish Independent.
Oh, this has got to be a joke. I mean, this has just got
white hat. It's all white hat.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, people, please laugh. The best thing for your immune system is laughing. We had a lot of laughter on your trip over, didn't we? We had good fun.
To the viewers, I can say she really is as mad as she seems.
Yeah, back at you. High five. Yeah. I really do walk around barefoot with my tail on all the time, talking to the trees. It's all true. Yeah.
Yeah. I can confer.
Yes, but it was good fun. You enjoyed the countryside around here, didn't you?
I was shocked how beautiful it is there. I mean, you know, that area of the country, I didn't realize it was that green. It's beautiful.
Green, animals everywhere, lots of other little creatures and elementals joining us, and yeah, really, really beautiful, wasn't it? And it is nice. So you've seen quite a lot of people in real life over the last couple of weeks. How was that for you?
It's just been incredible. There's hardly any words for it. I mean, I did this Great Awakening tour with Charlie Ward and a bunch of other people, and that came under some criticism from some corners. But my view is, I don't care. I wanted to, you know, all of those people on stage are people that I've watched over the last 2 years, and you know, people have all been attacked and had all sorts of things said about them, and I was like, well, you know, I want to meet them. I want to shake them by the hand. Not only that, I wanted to meet the audience. I mean, the best thing about it was the audience. There were 650 light workers in that room, and the energy was unlike anything I've experienced in ages. And after 2 years of being sat here behind this bloody laptop, it was so important to me to make that journey, because it's not a small journey for me, and make that effort, because I presented the whole thing for 7 hours.
Yeah.
Right. It was not a small.
You like to talk, Mark?
Yeah, but you know, there's still quite you know, there's a lot of energy.
Yeah.
But it was absolutely beautiful and really worth doing. And I met all those guys, and they're all coming from the right place.
I agree.
They really are. All this stuff about demonic possession and MI6 and CIA. I mean, I made a video diary while on the way over. I had 53,000 views. I couldn't believe it. And I was just making the point that who cares? I don't care. I don't care what I know what I'm doing is the best that I can do, and it's coming from the right place. So I don't really care if other people are doing bad things or they're infiltrating. I think it's time to move past all of that. And I think it's all going to come out in the wash anyway.
I think it's very close to coming out of the wash. And I would just like to say it's so important to that. So when you were at the Charlie Wall things, the reason I didn't go there is I'd already arranged to go and see my friend. So I was sleeping in a barn off grid with my beautiful friend who is absolutely walks the talk in terms of spends her life helping animals, living out in nature. So I was doing that, and that was just wonderful. So I was awake all night in this barn with these horses around me and loads of orbs and everything, absolutely beautiful. But then I went last weekend to the Katie Hopkins and Alex Bellfield thing up in Blackpool.
Yeah.
And it was hysterical, but the best thing was the audience. So there was well over 1,000 people in the room at the end of the pier that did look like it was about to fall down. But the audience was just absolutely fantastic. Being in a room full of people, all with the right intent, have a really good time in a really non-judgmental thing, you know, have a good laugh, and be there to actually make the most of their life. It was just brilliant. It was a really good atmosphere. Met some lovely, lovely people on it. And, you know, it just restores your faith in humanity, because I've needed that actually, because I've seen a lot that has not.
Well, that's the thing. Once you're back, you know, if you're deprived of people, I mean, I'm a very sociable, you've met me, I'm a very sociable sort of animal, and I really thrive on groups of people and stuff like that. And I think it's just super important, especially after what we've been through. And I just want more of it now, actually. It's like I mean, the energy was so good. I was speaking to David Mahoney about it, and we didn't yawn at all. No, yeah. Even though the whole day there, we were all talking to people all day and then all night, and there wasn't a yawn in the house because we were just all so buzzed up by just being together. And it was a totally positive experience. And I'm going to London again next week to have a look at Wembley Arena, because we're planning to do the next one there, and then Dublin after that.
It's fantastic. And Lucy and Davis and I and Dave Mahoney will be down in Glastonbury at the beginning of June. I think it's the 4th of June with Huna Flash at his event. So that's going to be another good laugh, and good laugh, but good energy, let's say, you know. So I think it's really, really important. And, you know, we've been talking for ages about people and saying, get out and do it. I had a thoroughly positive experience every single, whether you want to call them march, protests, demonstrations, in the London ones that I went to. And again, the great thing for that was the people that you met and the energy. And there was all this talk about energy harvesting and get off the ley lines and things like that. Well, I didn't experience anything like that. I experienced nothing but positivity from it.
Yeah, there's too much paranoia. There's too many people reading into things too much, too deeply. There's misinformation. There's so much of that stuff, and it's all down to how you feel and how your intuition is telling you what to do, and you've got to follow that and shake off all fear. This is what it's all about, because a lot of stuff coming out of the truthful community is actually fear-based.
Absolutely.
And you know, I do post stuff on my what's this?
Sorry, can you see Romeo out there? The ponies are out. Can you see little Charlie?
Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo?
Exactly. You've got Romeo the brown one and Charlie there. I just wanted to show you they were having a nice time in the garden.
Yeah, well, I've actually been there.
You have.
I've sat in that garden, which is great. Isn't that great? Because we're not strangers anymore. Yeah, but so, you know, I'm guilty of posting stuff on Telegram that some people might say that's fear porn. But it isn't, because I post stuff that's interesting, and if there's interesting things going on, because I'm not afraid of it, and most people on my channel are not afraid of it. But there's a lot of judgmentalism going on, and there's a lot of things coming out in the wash, and there is a lot of fear-based stuff that I think it's time to move past, because all of this is about us all moving past fear. Because once you move past fear, you vibrate at the right frequency. When you vibrate at the right frequency, you start getting more inputs from source. And that's where I'm at, and I've never been happier.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was saying had a really nice chat with Bryce and Medina and David. When was it? Yesterday. I was saying on a personal level, I've never felt better. I really haven't felt better. It's just fantastic. I feel physically really good, emotionally, mentally really good, and I'm quite excited for this stage of exposure. I'm not waiting for it. I'm not holding. I'm not stopping doing anything. I'm not sitting there waiting for all these things to happen, as you know. But what I am doing is I'm definitely seeing, and I think, you know, everyone from whatever walk of life they're from, whether you're talking about the celebrities, the politicians, normal people, people you see on YouTube. Everyone's going through their own journey and is here to learn their own lessons. And some of those lessons are going to be displayed in public, but they're their lessons to learn, and they've got to learn them. And anyone who's been involved in it is going to be learning those lessons along, you know, on the same point, because if you're involved in it, you've got a lesson to learn from it as well. So trying to stop all this happening and second guess everything, I'm just at the stage where let it all come out, let it all come out. It will come out. I'm 100% believe that it is going to come out, and people need to deal with their reactions to things at the time and use it as a learning experience.
Well, that's what I think this is. It's the whole process that we're going through is like an initiation ceremony, and in fact, our entire lives is one big initiation. I was just talking to Michael Feely about this, and I completely agree. It's like every even the negative stuff that we go through, all the negative stuff we go through is a chance to expand. And as you expand, you open yourself up to more of the frequencies that are around us that we've been blocked off from. And as they come in, you then expand further and further and further. And that, I was just explaining this to my son, it's like all these gifts get dropped in, like more psychic ability, telekinesis. David Wilcock was talking about telekinesis the other night on his show, which is amazing stuff. His show that he did about Archangel Michael and Valiant Thor was really interesting. And it just expands this out. So, you know, I'm running my life now on the truth bumps. When they come in, when I hear stuff and I get the truth bumps, I 100% trust it. I've learned to trust it over the last few years. And when you run with that and you run with that intuition, you can't go wrong, and you are divinely protected. I mean, the fact that so many of us are still here, despite some of the things we've said that got other people killed in the past, it's kind of proof, really.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I think it's really interesting to see Medina on the talk we had yesterday. She did a reading of the oh God, my mind's gone blank, the emotional frequency scale for different countries, and it really resonated with all of us. But the whole point is you're going to move through these at an individual level and a collective level, and you're meant to. And each time you're moving through them, you're releasing. It's like detoxing the whole planet. And you and I talk a lot about detoxing, retoxing ourselves, detoxing, because it's not a stationary, it's not an end goal. It's not somewhere where you get to and that's it. You never do it again. It's an ongoing process of, you know, the whole cycle of life. And I think it's really fascinating to see. You can see it at an individual level, but also at a country level, and that with everyone going through these cycles all at different places, but you know, we're all heading in the right direction, and that's the important thing.
Yeah, and I think it's also about embracing the dark and forgiving yourself and not living in shame and guilt. We've covered that in previous talks, but the embracing the dark thing is something that's taken me a while to come to terms with and understand. But once I first heard about the Hopi prophecy of the eagle and the condor being basically darkness and light merging, that is starting to make sense to me, and we're seeing it, and there's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to be worried about. I think we're going into a phenomenal place. And so what if some dirty washing has to get aired for you to get through what you need to get through? That's just the way it is. It's fine. It's okay. And people's reaction, you know, and how you react is also a sign of where you are. You know, if you're reacting, there's still people reacting to things, and it's like, I don't even bother anymore. I'm just like, it's all water off a duck's back to me.
Yeah, I think, you know, it is, everyone's at their different stage, aren't they? And what they're doing is, I think there's a lot of people that have gone through this on their own. You know, I'm really lucky. I've got a really lovely family around me. I've got really good friends. Most of them are on the other side of the world now, not around the corner. But, you know, I've got a really good support network of people that I trust to give me really honest feedback and, you know, have those really good conversations with. And I suppose a lot of the time when you see people reacting, it's because it's a bit like having a drink with your best mate. Quite often you've got something on your mind and you need to splurt it out, and once you've done it, you realize it's not a big deal anymore. So I think sometimes some of these platforms, people, if they haven't got someone to sort of splurge to, they use it there and get it out. And, you know, it might be better, folks, if you do it in your journal. rather than online. Just a tip.
Well, you know, because when you are online, and did I ever tell you about the hate campaign that was run against me about 12 years ago?
No.
So because I was teaching,
well, you mentioned it, but I didn't know the gory details.
Well, I won't go into the gory details because it's just not worth going into. But basically, it was this guy that just decided he hated me and was an ex-employee, and he just put up loads of bullshit about me online, and it really, really upset me for ages, almost, because I was out there teaching internet marketing, running seminars and things like that, and I went through that process, and I thought I'd never go online again. I mean, this is back when, if you think about like 2010, it's very different times now. You know, cyberbullying was still relatively new, and this guy knew a bit about SEO, and he used it against me, and I was in shock, and there was nothing I could do about it. I went to see a lawyer in London, and he said it'd cost you 30,000 just to get into the steps of the court, and then you probably wouldn't win. So I couldn't do anything about it. And I just had to wait for it to go away. And it was a really big lesson for me. And when I decided to come out about this stuff on YouTube and stuff like that, I knew that at some point I'd get people slagging me off, I'd get people attacking me and stuff like that. But I don't care. It doesn't matter, because I think that's a lesson for everybody, is that it literally doesn't matter what your friends and family think of you. It's time to stand in your truth. 100% stand in your truth. And if you get it wrong, just admit it and move on, you know, and ask for forgiveness. It's really a time for forgiveness for everybody.
I think it is. I think it's time for forgiveness, and it's a time for people actually asking for forgiveness. You know, on a personal level, I don't care at all, but I do expect when people are adults, for them, if they have fucked up, to ask for forgiveness. You know, I think otherwise you can stop them going through that learning lesson, and you can stop yourself. And it's very important. You have to practice what you preach and do that back. But I think that honesty and being able to have those honest conversations is a real sign of who your true friends are and who you do want to be surrounding yourself with. Because if you can't have those awkward conversations at times, then they're not real friends anyway.
Absolutely. And I've said this a few times recently, but I think our vessels are like instruments, and this whole process is about tuning these instruments in so that we have harmonic resonance with the source energy. And the more harmonic we are, the more we pick up, and the more information we're picking up, and the faster we're getting upgraded, because I do feel like we're being upgraded. And you know, I remember first learning that this weird ringing in your ears was like a DNA upgrade about 7 or 8 years ago. And I kind of listened to the information, and I thought it was interesting. I looked into it, but I didn't really understand it. But it does feel like that now. I'm really starting to understand this. I mean, at the age of 53, I started kickboxing last night. I was running in the mountains in the Lake District last week. I was jet skiing last week. What I'm trying to say is that my energy levels are through the roof compared to what they were 6 months ago. And I think there's been this huge shift, especially in the last 3 or 4 weeks, maybe a couple of months. I can't quite put my finger on it, but it does feel, everything feels lighter. And just driving around, people seem lighter, you know. I don't know if you've noticed that. I mean, which is why it's the right time to start meeting people and put all differences to one side and enjoy your life, enjoy yourself, don't beat yourself up. But forgiveness starts at home. You know? Yeah,
it is. Funny, we both started kickboxing. I started about 4 weeks ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I'm loving it. I'm absolutely loving it. I'm going with my daughter, and it's just fantastic.
Yeah, I took my 3 sons last night, and I was surprised because they'll normally be reticent to go to something like that, but they're all keen as mustard, and they all came out of it going, yeah, let's do that again. They loved it.
It's such good fun. I really, really love it. I'm really enjoying it. I'm enjoying it as much as I'm enjoying my cold showers, and those 2 words that I never thought would come out. I think it's an interesting one, though. I want to get your opinion. So, yes, I absolutely with you about time for forgiveness. There's a lightness moving forward. But how are you feeling that fits with boundaries? Because I think a lot of people can confuse the issues in terms of, I'm just checking my horses aren't eating there. I might just, whilst you're talking about that, just want to check. 1 minute. Just want to check they're not eating all the bird food, because they are a bit naughty.
Oh, look, you hold that tail on. I thought it was a real tail.
Little bugger. Sorry, everyone. One sec.
That's all right. I'll just waffle. Catherine Edwards has gone to check her horse. She appears to have gone into the horse at the moment, but we can't actually see what she's doing. Oh, she's back.
Sorry.
She's on the phone. How long? Here comes Catherine Edwards. Catherine Edwards. Catherine Edwards. Here she says, and the winner is Catherine Edwards.
He's such a bugger. He knows when I'm on a video and I can't stop him. I'll have to just quickly message my daughter, say, come and retrieve your naughty brother. He's doing it again. Let me just pause it for 1 minute, everyone. Hang on. Sorry, everyone. I had to do a challenge Annika, my naughty horse, eating all the bird seed.
I was thinking that when you were leaning out the window, it was like Annika Rice's bum and going into the helicopter.
So
you'd be great at that. Challenge Catherine. Bring that back with you.
I'll tell you what, I would be so up for that. I would love it. I'd be right in there, particularly if I had a dishy helicopter pilot to take him around. So
hang on, I think Daniel Craig's free.
I heard that. And I heard he was interested as well, actually. Putting it out there, positivity. No, in all seriousness, boundaries. So how does boundaries fit in with you to this? Because it's all very well loving and forgiving, but then it doesn't necessarily serve people. You don't want to deliberately be surrounding yourself with people that you're not vibing with.
Well, I think trusting yourself first and foremost is the thing. I think what happened during COVID is a lot of people, because of the isolation, maybe reached out and, in terms of, there's this phenomenon called, COVID dating, where everybody was meeting online and stuff. But once they started meeting real people, they realized, hang on a minute, this is all a bit weird, because you can't really have proper relationships with people unless you're with them. And, things get out of kilter. So I think, that's what I've learned, is that boundaries are really, really important. And I didn't really have any. To be honest, at the beginning of COVID, I was pretty lonely, and I was drinking too much, and I was like not in a good spot, really. And I think that's the same for a lot of people. But as we've gone through this, I think we've all got stronger and stronger and stronger, and we've just got to be wary that we're taking care of ourselves first and foremost, and just saying, okay, for me especially, it comes down to workload. I mean, we were both saying the same thing: how busy you've been, how busy I'm so busy that I've not messaged my mum all week, for example. And then it pops into my head, oh my God, it's been a week since I've even done that. And I'm like, I've really got to cut that down. And that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to do that. I'm just trying to, make more time to do things like the kickboxing, make more time to do walks in nature, all the things that I've been talking about. And I have been trying and doing as best I can. But I think, especially if you've been doing this kind of work, you do tend to just, like, it's a call after a call after a call, and then before you know it, you've not been outside. I mean, I know you take a lot of, a trouble to actually go out in nature, and you're really good at that. And I think everybody's kind of good at different bits of it, but it's kind of like, I'm trying to teach my kids. I'm trying to live by myself. It doesn't feel like there's such a hurry anymore. I mean, at the beginning of all of this, I felt like, oh, we've got to get this out now. I've got to do this now. I've got to do it now. And I didn't want to let go of business as well, because I didn't know where the next penny was coming in from. I'm going to make sure that doesn't go, so you're balancing all these things. And I'm father to, I've told people before, I'm a part-time podcaster. I'm a father to single dad to 5 kids. Some people don't understand the difference between 1 and 5 kids. There's a big difference.
So it's in the food bill.
And the time bill. Driving. I've been 2 hours today already, just driving kids around.
Yeah, exactly. But you wouldn't change it for anything.
No.
It's gone. And it's like, it's just so important that we make time for the things that and enjoy the moment now. It's one of the things, the theme of what has really hit home with me over the last couple of weeks is so important to really enjoy life now. I mean, anyone who's been on any path of self-development, spiritual journey, whatever you want to call it, who cares what you call it, it's all about being in the now, being in the present moment. And I just, so much of that has been lost with this drive for intel and what's going on. And yes, that is important, and there's a place, that's why everyone's got their role in this. But there's no good coming to the end of it and realizing that you're unhealthy, unhappy, and that you've just wasted the last 2 years not doing anything that makes you feel good.
Yeah, and I've said it a few times about people that have kind of put their life on pause because they're waiting for XRP to go up or
Yeah,
silver to go up and stuff like that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with making pragmatic decisions about
absolutely.
investments and spreading your risk and making bets on these things. In fact, I've told people I've made bets on silver, gold, XRP, AMC, but not more than I can afford to lose. And it just makes sense because if they did just fly up, then it's generational wealth. It's and will we even need that where we're going? I don't know, but I'm pragmatic. So I'm always trying to do the pragmatic thing. But people were literally pausing their lives, waiting for this stuff to happen. And I'm
Absolutely.
like, you can't do that. You've got to get out and live. And that's been the great thing about actually being able to travel and meet people and stuff like that. Because, when we got together, we went out and had a boozy lunch because it felt like a celebration,
Absolutely.
just meeting, the simple acts of meeting somebody else who's been doing this for a couple of years. But there are really great things going on. I don't know, I saw this today. I'll just share this with you. This is starting to happen. These words on the front page.
Yeah, and it's funny though, because I've seen that same headline. Can you see the date? Because I've seen that same one sent like months ago.
Well, I've seen a similar one with the word cabal on, and even if that one's not real, I have seen the word cabal used in lots of newspapers recently.
Definitely.
And that is a word that you never saw
Completely.
until 6 months ago. So even if that one's not real, I think it is, but even if it's not, this is happening. And the other thing that's going on, I don't watch TV, but I have just sat down and watched Mike Myers, The Pentaveret. Have you seen that?
Right. No, I haven't, but everyone's talking about it.
I mean, this is effectively global mainstream television comedy, right? And I counted the word adrenochrome 5 times in 6 episodes.
Yeah.
That is ultimate proof to me that the white hats are in control of this stuff, and they're using the same programming techniques that were used against us to wake people up.
Yeah, I agree.
They're dropping these words in so that they're going into the subconscious, so that it moves that wave of consciousness that in that direction instead of the other direction. So it's moving it towards the light, away from the dark, because we were dragged into the dark with their programming techniques, Operation Mockingbird and everything else. So I'm pretty damn sure from what I'm seeing, it's actually wonderful to see headlines like that.
Yeah, it is. It's really wonderful, and it's important because we all know that there's a lot of people, until they see it on the headlines, they're not going to do sort of anything about it. So that's so important. So in terms of so where we're at now, where are you feeling? I know energetically it's great, but on the practical side of things, there's still a lot of shit sort of coming out and being exposed. So where are you feeling we are at the moment in terms of real changes at a society level coming through?
Well, I'm always very reluctant to talk about intel, but I have had 3 or 4 people that I know well, that are very well connected, who have said the same thing to me from 3 or 4 different sources in the last week. And I'll probably get shot down for saying this, but the financial system changes are apparently imminent. And I've been noticing things going on with my bank accounts, things going on with the internet that are kind of leading towards this. I've also known people that have had debts written off. I had one massive one written off about 3 or 4 months ago.
Wow.
Out of the blue, got a letter saying that's gone. And I was like, this is really interesting. And it kind of feels right. And there's a lot of people obviously saying that's a load of rubbish, but I something massive is going to happen there. And I think it's very, very soon. I also think that Biden's going to be gone within a month, 6 weeks, maybe. I'm not it feels like that. It's got to be soon. They can't keep this up for much longer. So therefore, those 2 things alone are going to be huge in terms of their impacts on society. There's definitely, the other thing that I'm getting a lot of is the scare events. Q said, 17 said, scare event necessary. I had a long time ago, I had an image of something to do with something nuclear, and I'm still standing by that. I still feel that something like, not necessarily nuclear, but something huge. I think the Earth's got to stand still for a bit. And I don't know exactly what shape that's going to take, but I am seeing a lot of people are talking to me about, because I talk about UFOs a lot. I'm getting lots of people sending me pictures of UFOs and telling me stuff about UFOs. When I was in England last week, I went to visit another friend. I got asked, could I call in the ships? I called them in. And then later that night, there they were, 7 of them doing a little show, flaring up and stuff like that. So all of this stuff is really happening. I'm fascinated by the solar flare idea. I've talked about that. I've written about that in the poems. I've talked about it before. I think that is a big possibility. And I'm actually hoping
because a lot of people have been talking about the solar flare in sort of different ways. So what are you meaning by the solar flare? What does it look like to you?
Well, I honestly don't know for a fact, but my feeling is that it's like going to be a huge input of information. And light carries information, right? So that's going to be an input. Now, if you have been doing the work spiritually, and that doesn't mean you have to meditate for 10 hours a day. It just means that you're taking care of yourself. You're trying to keep your vibration high, your frequency's ready. Then you will be able to absorb that information. Some people that are closed off to it are going to find it difficult to absorb. But I do think everybody's going to get the opportunity to face up to all this information. I mean, I said to Charlie the other day about doing second leg of this tour. I was like, do you think people are going to need to, want to come and see a Great Awakening tour in September if all these changes are going to happen? And he made a good point. He said, yeah, because they're going to want to know what the hell's been going on. And so this awakening process, although I think there's a series of events, it's a process. It's not just one big event, although it feels like there has to be something large. I mean, maybe that's just wishful thinking on my part. I'd love just a big event, and then I'd love the EBS to happen. I'd love to go through all of that, and then it's not about being right. I just want to just get past this time period. A little bit. Let's just little tiny bits. Yeah.
No, I don't. There would be some satisfaction in that. We do have to admit. Yeah,
but I'm still an apocalyptic optimist. I really feel incredibly optimistic, and I think there's a great deal of good things coming our way. And I said to my kids this morning, I said, last night, what an amazing time for you to choose to come here, because what's ahead of you is going to be magnificent.
Yeah, I really feel that, and I really feel there's going to be a renewed level of appreciation for what we have got. You know, we've been calling it, people call it a prison planet and the most dense 3D and everything. It's really weird because my whole life, that's never been my experience of being here. You know, well, so...
No, I think we've got that in common. I mean, I really have enjoyed my life for the most part. There's been some shit things happen, but for the most part, I've really enjoyed it. And I always go out and try and live to the maximum. I love I've been up and down mountains, flown planes, been in the sea, you know, sailed the oceans, and I've just lived as much as I can. And I think this place presents those opportunities to you, but only if you go and take them. But the reason why I have described this place as a farm is because when you actually look at society with some knowledge, that you realize actually it is. And that I've been angry on behalf of the people that can't see it, and I've wanted to wake them up to say, look, it's like, do you remember Chicken Run? That
yes.
I love the line. I think it's Mel Gibson's The Rooster or something, and he turns around and he says, "Why don't you just fly out of here?" And the chicken says, "I can't fly. I'm a chicken." You know, it's just like they just don't believe that they're being turned into pies. You know.
Yeah. But you see, it's interesting because we say that and we always talk about it from a human perspective, and yet we still seem to be in a mindset where we're still happy to do that to animals, which I think is really fascinating, because for me, part of the whole Great Awakening for me is a completely new realization about back to balance, you know, balance with all things in nature, because we talk a lot about humanity, obviously, because we're humans, we think. We think we're human, at least partly. But, you know, I do see, I really see in the very near future a completely new way of living in harmony, or a return to using, I was speaking to Mornay and Shante this morning, and we were saying, you know, no, it's not about throwing out all the good bits of technology and the good bits we've learned. It's about taking the good bits that worked in the past and taking the good stuff we've got now and merging them all together into our current reality. We don't need to go back and live as cavemen.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, because there's been a lot of that, hasn't there? We're going to go back to basics and live like, and I'm like, well, why? What?
Yeah.
No, we've got, excuse me, we've got free energy technology, 100%. And I'm manifesting incredible flying cars that don't pollute anything and don't need roads.
I'm manifesting that because then I don't have to worry about when my cats follow me on the dog walks.
Yeah.
Although we'd have to be very careful of the geese, wouldn't we, and the birds?
Well, the technology exists to emit frequencies from these things. Well, no, just to emit frequencies from them that keep them away from you.
But that's one of the main things that I'm manifesting, because my life would be transformed if I didn't have to worry about my cats going on the road. So yeah, there's lots of good things coming. Imagine how fun Idris could come everywhere with me.
That'd be marvelous.
Marvelous.
I could bring Midnight.
Exactly. They'd love each other, wouldn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, they would. I'd put them in little cat cars.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, Idris is so Batman. Yeah. And Mrs. Robin. But yeah, there's so much good stuff coming, but again, being cautious not to sort of say we just enjoy it now. The more we enjoy it now, everyone, the more it's going to be a seamless transition of just better. And going back to the Charlie tour, I think even if we've had all these announcements and everything, then I think everyone will be coming together for a big celebration.
Well, I've got truth bumps then. I think we'll be celebrating for quite a long time. I think we've earned it, to be honest. I think everybody that's been through the last 50 years, 100 years, we've been through hell, really, as a species, not just us as individuals, but, World War II, World War I, all these other wars. I mean,
exactly.
My God, there's so much reparation to be done for all that evil. But I think there's going to be, I know it is. That's what we came here for, Catherine.
It's what we came here for. And it's the classic thing is, once you get that realization, you don't need to stay there in the horror. It just really appreciates everything you've got so much more. And that's what I love, is I do see a very new level of appreciation in people coming out. And I really like that. I love it. People really are appreciating the more simple things in life. They are appreciating the friends they've got, the relationships they've got with whatever it might be. Yeah.
I've noticed that even with people that are fast asleep, they're saying things to me that are like, oh, so well, this good thing came out of COVID, and then they're actually using those words, and it's really pretty amazing. And just seeing people appreciate seeing people walk down the street without those on, is huge. Because I did a show with Mel K about a year ago, and I did this joke about the policy of the tight shoes. Really, all of this stuff is like wearing a pair of tight shoes for a long time. Your feet feel amazing when you take the tight shoes off, but they wouldn't have felt amazing if you didn't have the tight shoes on in the first place.
Exactly.
And that's kind of where I think God put us into this position where we've been squeezed, and then when it's released, you go, oh, relief. And then hopefully you've got a bit of time to think about what's actually happened. And but I think there's going to be a lot of questions. A lot of people are still going to be, waking up 7 billion, how many billion people there are on this planet is not a small task.
And we don't know how many people there are because, it's all lies. We've no idea. And if what we think is true, there's a lot of people that are unaccounted for in the census that are living elsewhere below.
Well, when I don't know if I did that interview with Kent Dunn. Kent's interesting. He comes out with some contentious things, and some things I raise my eyebrows at, but it's always interesting having these different perspectives as a Pleiadian. And he said, I think he said there's only like 100 million people on the planet, 100 million humans. And then this kind of ties in with Dolores Cannon and the background characters and the character idea. Although it's hard for us to understand how that could possibly be true, because this reality feels and smells and so real, and it hurts, and it's got all of these incredible. I mean, when you think of it in those terms, it actually makes it even more amazing than if you just had a nihilistic viewpoint and thought it was just a rock spinning around a dead sun, and we live, and when we die, and that's it. I mean, I did think like that for a while. But this version of the world in my head is far more interesting, and it just keeps opening and opening and opening and getting more and more interesting, which is what's given me more zest for life than I've ever had.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really fascinating because a lot of us have talked about our sort of circle of friends actually getting smaller, sort of close, trusted friends. Well, but perhaps that's because we're realizing who the background characters are and who are the real humans. I don't know. It's an interesting one.
Well, that's certainly true. I mean, I've said quite a few times that the best thing about this period is it's shown everybody up for who they are.
Yeah.
And yeah, there may be infiltration going on or whatever. I only mention this because people always comment about that sort of thing. But you know, when I see people like you standing up, and I've met you, and I'm just amazed at people like you, and it's just stunning to see people that have incredible courage in the face of actual danger. You know, not just adversity, but actual danger, because we felt compelled to do so, and all of us for different reasons, and all of us have different gifts and frequencies to bring to the table. You know, you've done so much for the cause of animals and that humans' relationship with animals and how we look after them, and mixed all that in with your truth seeking and everything else. It's wonderful, which is why you've cheered up so many people over such a period of time. And there's so many other people that have done. I mean, lots of bad things have been said about Charlie over the last year or so. But, you know, I've been down to the local market and I've met people that have said, well, Charlie Ward says this, and I'm so grateful to him. And I'm like, yeah, he's actually woken up hundreds of thousands, if millions of people. And that is amazing, whatever he might have done in the past.
I don't care what anyone said. He started this whole movement in terms of, if you're looking at the social media, YouTube movement of all of us, because he was brave enough to stand up, take the ridicule, you know, like a modern day David Icke, you know, because it's really, really hard. But the reason he could do that is because he's been through these different things in his life, and you learn along the way. And I think it's fantastic seeing all the different personalities and the different things, and people will resonate with different people at different times. And that's exactly where it's meant to be. It's exactly the way it's meant to be. Look at all the light coming in. It's so much.
I know, it's gorgeous.
But yeah, as well. Oh, it's just lovely. It was raining all this morning, and now everything's so bright because it's all been watered and it's saying. But I think this is the thing: is it's about appreciating everyone's piece. You know, you've got to have the bad actors to appreciate the good things. You've got to have this contrast, and also you've got to have different people. You know, you've got the financial people, you've got the alien people, you've got the the children people, you've got this, and everyone doesn't have to do everything, but together people are piecing what they need to hear at the time that's right for them. And gradually you can see as people find out more, their confidence going up more and more, because suddenly the world starts to make sense to them.
Well, I'm constantly reading comments and emails from people saying, thank God I found you, but I also found this person and this person. And then I'm starting to realize that there's a whole group of people that are awake and putting all this together. And not one person's got all the answers. And whatever stuff we've output, individually becomes a place when the frequency matches, they find you, you know, yeah. Despite the shadow banning, despite all of that stuff, they find you when it's the right time, because exactly. The teacher appears when the student is ready. And that, whatever, like one video that I put out, or you put out, could be a stepping stone to somebody having a massive realization and finding somebody else, which is why we interview people, because we want to meet people that know more about stuff than we do, and extract that information and bring them to a new audience. And that has been such a privilege to do over the last couple of years. I mean, I just feel massively privileged to have even been asked to do this, you know.
Exactly. I just have such fun, because I just love learning, as I know you do, and to have these conversations with people about the most diverse range of subjects you could possibly imagine is just fascinating. It's just why you sort of feel like you're on the Duracell batteries, you know, the Duracell bunny that doesn't run batteries. That's just definitely what I feel like, because it's all so interesting. It's all so interesting. But what I feel I've really learned is to let go of the stuff that doesn't serve me anymore. You know, you don't need to keep looking at stuff that's going to bring you down, but you do need to change your behavior if you've seen it, and make sure you're not doing things that are supporting that.
And then that's where the boundaries come into it. And we all interpret some of these things differently, and that's fine. You know, you and I have a very different viewpoint about food.
Exactly.
But we put it in a little box. We're not letting that interfere with our friendship. One of us is right. we'll find out at some point. And that's okay. And the reason I'm bringing that up is for people watching this. You know, you don't have to agree 100% with anybody about anything. Just it's all about you, and it's your journey, it's your experience.
Yeah, it's very, very important. There's too many things where people throw the baby out with the bathwater, and they hear one thing or there's one bit that they don't resonate with, and they chuck everything out. And I just think that's such a waste. It's such a waste. You know, there's so many good aspects of people. It's like, you know, I've said loads of times, my husband doesn't believe half of what I do about all of these, but we still got on really well because he's got other really good qualities.
No, he's lovely. Say hello to him for me.
I will say hello to him. Yeah, so you know, this is the thing. It's like, because you're all seeing the world through your own lens.
Yeah.
None of us are right about everything, and none of us are wrong about everything. Getting rid of this black and white thinking and thinking there is only one way. There's so many different ways.
Oh, and when I met your husband, I think, if I remember correctly, I deliberately didn't talk about any of this stuff. We just talked about other stuff because that's great as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I don't want to piss him off because he doesn't want somebody in his house ranting about Trump.
Been in the guinea pig shed for the night.
Yeah, exactly. I wanted the night bed.
Yeah, exactly. But no, so I hope everyone's having a brilliant, brilliant week wherever you are. I think there's lots of interesting things happening everywhere, but don't forget to enjoy the moment.
Definitely do that. I've got a little kayak here. If the weather's nice, I'm going to go out on the lake, and I'm going to go and visit a sacred site tomorrow with a shaman, just out of interest, and just follow your passions and just go and pick something that you've not done, you know, and think, right, well, I'm going to go and do that. You know, last week for me, it was jet skiing and running up a mountain. This week it's kickboxing and going to a sacred site. And it's so simple, and it doesn't have to be expensive, but just go and get yourself out of your comfort zone and do something positive.
Yeah, get that beginner mindset a bit and just have fun with it, and it makes all the difference. And there's something everyone that can do with that. So yeah, well, thank you so much. Have a fantastic weekend.
We got to do this sometime when it's not a Friday afternoon, because I know we've both had a really hard week, but
we really do need to do it when it's not a Friday afternoon, but I do love Friday afternoons.
No, I love Friday afternoons. If I was there, I'd go and get a bottle of wine open, but
exactly might be happening, but yeah, have a lovely weekend, everyone. Enjoy. I hope the sunshine's coming out like it is here, and I'm off to retrieve my naughty pony and see what else he's eaten. Thanks, Mark.
Lovely to speak to you. Take care. Take care.
Bye.